Wesleyan student Caleb Clyde, and we will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have given to us. We thank you for all the blessings that you've given to us. We thank you for the opportunity to have this meeting. Lord, I ask that you would come and help us tonight. I pray for those in authority here that you would give them wisdom and discernment, that your will would be accomplished, and that you would be honored. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and once again, thank you to everyone for attending the orientation that went just a little over, but I'd like to thank Attorney Zellers for all his help with getting that together, as well as the mayors, so that we could prepare our new council members for their journey forward. So, Madam Clerk, as we get started, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Baird?
Present.
Ms. Berger?
Here.
Mr. Harrington?
Here.
Mr. Stockman?
Here.
Mr. Tice?
Here.
Mr. Weir?
Here.
Mr. Zellers?
Here.
Thank you. Everyone has received the minutes from our February 3rd meeting. Are there any additions, changes, or deletions? Seeing none, we'll move into petitions and remonstrances, for which we have none this evening. We also have no visitors tonight's meeting, so we'll move on to the report of city officials. Mayor Dickey.
Thank you. Well, welcome city council members, old and new, and welcome city department heads and city elected officials. As required, tonight I will be delivering the Salem State of the City address. Settle in, or if you don't want to have to hear this whole thing, run now. Okay. The Salem Utilities Department in 2025 had one new hire, Trent Newburn, in the wastewater treatment plant. George Mosier passed his water supply class 2. Zach Van Horn passed his water supply class 2 in November. Chad Hess passed his water reclamation class 3 in July. Scott Brown passed his water reclamation class 3 in March. And Terry Jackson passed his water reclamation class 3 in July. These are very difficult certifications to get, and they are very important for us for keeping our licensure, as we are required to have a certain number of these people in different classifications on duty at all times. So we really thank them for taking the effort to do this. Randy Malmsbury officially resigned as utility commission member due to relocating outside the city of Salem on September 30th of 2025. Randy served for 10 years on the commission as a member and then vice president. Craig Fair was officially sworn in as the new Utility Commission member on September 25th to serve the remainder of Randy's term expiring December 31st of 2030. The wastewater treatment plant Phase 3 project was officially finished and closed out. Some of the highlights of that project were that it took 2.5 years to complete at an approximate cost of $18.5 million. New dome covers on all 3 trickling filters and complete filter media replacement on number 1 was completed. A centrifuge was placed online in the fall, allowing for self-sufficient dewatering capabilities. Since going online, they have averaged 30% dry solids. The sludge conditioning Pondus building was put online, giving us the ability to convert aerobic sludge to anaerobic, as well as increasing methane gas production, which decreases the sludge volume. This sludge conditioning process, called Pondus, was developed in Europe, where there are currently 10 locations throughout Europe, and Salem is the 2nd location in the United States, with Kenosha, Wisconsin being the first to use this process. Salem was also one of the first wastewater plants in this part of the country to start using aeration as a secondary treatment, which is a very big deal back then. We are cutting edge in our utility department. A new larger generator was put online. The entire plant now has backup power. Lastly, both anaerobic digesters were rehabbed from the inside out, with the primary getting a new floating cover and the secondary having an existent cover under a complete restoration. We replaced 4 of the older roofs and prepared 2 of the older roofs, and all roofs are now under warranties and will have ongoing inspections done on the next 30 years. On the water side, the department inspected and cleaned both clear well tanks at the water plant and made repairs to the ferric acid tank. They replaced a broken water pump with a new submersible style pump. They continued planning and pre-engineering on Phase 2 project. Plans are to apply for funding in the spring of '26 when it's available to continue this project. Reservoir Shoreline Improvements Phase 1 was completed by Yarian Brothers, and all the plans and inspections were turned into ODNR for review and approval. Reservation Shoreline Improvements Phase 2 was approved and is planned to be completed in 2026. We installed a new access road to the west levee, and it was installed roughly 4,000 feet of fencing and access gates to secure the reservoir on the west end. Spectrum ran new fiber to the WTP for higher speed and more reliable internet. That's all outside the city going to the reservoir. Before that, they had no internet access out there. Installed creek pump number 1 and a variable speed controller for more efficient operations was completed. The water plant Phase 1 has made progress throughout the year, and some of the highlights are as follows. The sludge tank was formed and poured. A new electric building was built. All new conduit runs and underground piping were installed. New drainage lines and storm sewer were installed. The driveway was widened and the entire thing was blacktopped. A generator was installed in December. The water distribution and sewer collection made updates to the Ohio EPA lead service line inventory. They continued work on the annual valve exercising program. They repaired 64 water main leaks in 2025. There were 11 main line valves replaced, 25 hydrants were rebuilt and replaced. Another water leak survey was done. They continued work on backflow and cross-connection plans and inspections. They installed new manholes in front of Sleepy Hollow and repaired a manhole in front of the Farmers Bank. This should greatly reduce the hydrogen sulfide levels that have been creating some of the odor issues in the city. They started the design engineering process on the water line placement project for a section of water line on South Ellsworth ahead of the planned paving project for 2026. Additionally, they anticipated water line projects for 26 and 27 as followed. Replacement of roughly 4,500 feet of water line on Benton Road, new 12-inch line extension from Pershing to Edgewood, which will eliminate 6 existing dead-end lines. A proposal was given to the school to run extension from Pershing to the new campus for fire flow, at which point the Utilities Department will absorb some of the school's costs to assist with the project. In the administration offices, insurance evaluations were done in 2025, and they installed a keyless entry on all the doors to the utility department. Okay, Parks Department. That was out of order there. The Parks Department had many yearly events, programs, and activities. Last year, they had the Easter egg hunt in connection with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. 12,000 eggs were scattered for the participants in the Easter egg hunt. Art in the Park Festival with the Salem Public Library was the largest to date. The 3rd of July fireworks and fun was held at Waterworth Park. They hosted 14 summer concert nights at the band shell. The Story Trail with the Salem Public Library had the largest attendance to date. Trail of Treats and costume contest in conjunction with Curing Retinal Blindness Foundation was held. The Salem Public Library and the Salem Area Chamber of Commerce sponsored those with the parks. They have bi-monthly Go Wild in the Park events with the Salem Public Library with larger turnouts every year. There was an inaugural ice cream run, more than 200 participants. Multiple events in the Centennial Park pool were larger turnouts than previous years. 2 Kiwanis craft shows were held. They had the Letters to Santa program. Multiple family reunions were held in their pavilions. Field days for local elementary schools were held at the end of the school year. Summer Olympics was a huge turnout. Winter Olympics, which was a new program, also had a high turnout. Swim lessons are on the uprise. Adult Swim Hour had very high attendance all summer long. If you don't know, they do have an Adult Swim Hour, an hour before the pool opens every day, and it's free to adults. Sporting events, Salem Junior Baseball League, Girls Recreational Softball League, Church League Softball, multiple kickball games, Flag Football League, Salem High School Cross Country Meets, Salem High School Boys and Girls Tennis, Salem High School Junior Varsity Softball, United Local Boys and Girls Tennis, Sunday Soccer League, Summer Basketball League. There are a lot of leagues who use our surfaces for all the different sports in the parks. Outside funding was obtained. The 2025 park levy was renewed. They installed 2 chimney swift towers at Waterworth Memorial Park through a grant obtained by the Beaver Creek Wildlife Center. They renovated all the baseball and softball fields at Waterworth Memorial Park, which were 5 total, through a grant obtained by a partnership with the Salem Junior Baseball. They purchased a new to-use Silverado for the maintenance crew. They replaced support posts on Pavilion 7 in Centennial Park. They painted all the pavilions in Centennial Park. There's 6 of them. They poured concrete pads at Pavilion 6 in order to move the pavilion after it was found to be in poor condition. They painted the Swings and Things playground at Centennial Park. They formed a partnership with Omega in order to secure future grant funding. They planted 129 trees along the nature trail at Waterworth Memorial Park as part of the Earth Day initiative. They awarded the location for Columbiana County of Ohio Goes to the Movies in conjunction with America 250 for 2026. I believe it's going to be Shawshank Redemption because it's something that is close to our city where it was made. They had the highest revenue generating year at the Centennial Park pool to date. They painted 2 murals at the Centennial Park pool. They painted 5 murals at Waterworth Memorial Park, and wildflowers on the concession stand, Quaker Sam and the Quaker Lady on the handball wall, and they painted the bandshell background and a stained glass dove on the bandshell bathroom wall. They painted the bandshell bathroom. They replaced a bridge on 9th Street at Waterworth Memorial Park, obtained a NatureWorks grant through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to replace the pavilion roofs and siding at Centennial Park. They replaced the roof on the bathroom at Centennial Park. They obtained 3 new AEDs through a grant for Centennial and Waterworth Memorial Parks. Those were required because of the number of children we have in the parks. They had to be pediatric sized. They removed 5 large dead trees from Centennial and Waterworth Memorial Parks, purchased a tornado blower, ordered 2 new mowers, which were generously purchased by the city. They painted the handball wall at Waterworth Park with a grant from Sherwin-Williams and Keep Ohio Beautiful. They obtained a sunscreen station through a donation as part of the Sunscreen for All Americans campaign to reduce melanoma risk factors. They applied for a land and water conservation grant in hopes of upgrading Centennial Park pool. The Columbiana County Parks District donated a 0.35 acre plot of land at 364 Sharp Avenue to the Parks Department, creating what will be our 7th park in the near future. They painted the doors and window frames at the park office building. They obtained a Martin Luther King Day of Service grant through Serve Ohio in order to build a fence on the nature trail. They had material donated in order to create handballs and kick plates on the bandshell bridge at Waterworth Memorial Park. They obtained a grant through Rawlings Sports for new softball helmets, 25 in total. And they obtained a 2nd dump truck from the Streets Department and hired a new park director in January. Ohio Goes to the Movies stipend was $3,500. The NatureWorks grant was $49,000. The baseball field grant was $50,000. Monetary donations to repaint the bandshell were $800. The AED grant was valued at $21,000. The Keep Ohio Beautiful grant, $5,000. The sunscreen for all donations were $600. That was a lot of sunscreen. 364 Sharp Avenue was valued at $25,200 donation. Martin Luther King Day of Service grant was $1,000. Rawlings Sports, $7,500. Mowers purchased by the city, $38,000. Rip It Sports also gave us some smaller sized softball helmets for $12,500 grant. Bridge repair donation was $1,500, and it totaled $214,600 from outside sources for our parks just last year alone. So then we'll go on to the auditor's office. It's very short. He will give you more updates in detail. But despite inflation and increased cost of products and services, the auditor's office reports that at the end of December of '25, the carryover was $1.5 million, just a little over that, almost 1.6, which is $214,196.71 more than the end of December in 2024. The Salem Area Health District issued 1,295 birth certificates in '25 and 1,244 death certificates. The number of issued death certificates are expected to rise in '26 due to the department being able to access death certificates from anywhere in Ohio now. Used to be they could only get people who died in Salem. 143 deaths were reported in the city of Salem in 225. The leading cause of death was a heart condition, followed by respiratory issues, then cancer. The nurses had 212 office visits with 374 vaccines given. There were 186 cases of communicable diseases reported in the city. That was down from the year before and is expected to drop next year because of the way they are reporting COVID now. YSU students finished shadowing the Director of Nursing for their public health rotation's clinical experience. Chelsea Clark was named the Health Commissioner Director of Nursing upon the resignation of Kayla Crow in December of 2025. Jody Snyder was promoted to the Public Health Nurse Accreditation Coordinator. Deborah Clark was hired as the Deputy Registrar to replace Jody. Kayla Crow contracted as a registered sanitarian to oversee our sanitarian in training. Housing is no longer a part of the health department. They are under City Hall. Charles Weatherly was hired as sanitarian in training to partially replace Alan Masters, who resigned in 2025. On the health board, Bill Wilkins resigned after 10-plus years on the board. He was replaced by Barb Stamp. The housing department saw an addition of a full-time inspector, Richard Snyder. The department caught up on its backlog of inspections and maintained them ongoing through 2025. Revenues increased for the department due to the increase in the fees and the increased enforcement. The biggest revenue for housing is the occupancy fee revenue, which increased from $59,382 in 2024 to $109,359 in 2025. Vacant structure fees mostly stayed unchanged, while reinspection fees dropped from $5,600 to $1,950 in '25. The grass cutting increased from $760 to $1,950. Application fees for occupancy licenses rose from $140 in '24 to $4,014 in '25. Planning and zoning saw the job shift of our officer, Chip Hanks, from the HPZ to the PD, and the new director, Alicia Schrenk, was hired in that position. Overall zoning activity increased steadily, with total permits rising 29.8% from '23 to '25, reflecting a sustained development and land use demand citywide. The strong growth occurred between '24 and '25, when total zoning permits increased 19.4%, marking the highest year-over-year growth in a 3-year period. Residential new construction peaked in '24 but declined sharply in '25, indicating a shift away from housing starts toward other development activity. The commercial and industrial permits expanded over the 3-year period, increasing 150% from '23 to '25, signaling long-term growth in non-residential development. Commercial and industrial alteration permits showed volatility, with a temporary drop in '24 followed by a rebound in '25, suggesting renewed investment in redevelopment and building improvements. Permit growth was driven primarily by volume rather than category concentration, indicating broad-based zoning activity across residential and commercial sectors in the city. Permit growth was driven primarily by, I just said it twice. They were focusing on reinforcing the importance of maintaining clear zoning standards and proactive engagement with business and development stakeholders. They renewed an interest in commercial and industrial alterations to focus on reinvestment and redevelopment, highlighting opportunity to prioritize adaptive reuse, code modernization, and corridor revitalization strategies. And they are really working hard on getting some software that works better for doing those projects. Year-to-year variability underscores the importance of long-range planning tools, including data-driven forecasting, regular zoning updates, and alignment with the city's comprehensive plan and economic development goals. They're maintaining efficient permit review and processing timelines to accommodate continued growth in overall zoning areas. They're evaluating residential development trends and barriers, including zoning standards, infrastructure capacity, and market conditions to identify opportunities to support new housing construction. They're supporting commercial and industrial growth through proactive zoning guidance, early development, developer engagement, and clear code interpretation to sustain economic development momentum. Encouraging redevelopment and reinvestment in existing structures, particularly commercial and industrial properties, by promoting adaptive reuse and modernization consistent with zoning and building standards. And we could do this by strengthening our data tracking and reporting practices to improve year-over-year forecasting and performance measurement. There's been a lot of re-interest in commercial and industrial projects in the city. The zoning permit fee revenue increased significantly over the 3-year period from '23, reflecting higher development activity and higher value projects. The total permit fee revenue for this year was $23,608, and that serves as a baseline for comparison. I'm sorry, that was in '23. So from '23 to now, to '24, it went up to $61,061, which is a 158.6% increase. From '24 to '25, it went from the $61,000 to the $141,195.78, which is a 131.3% increase year over year. It indicates strong development and more complex higher fee projects. They credited that to rising permit fees and also a lot of pre-planning and a lot of communication with developers. Rising permit fee underscores the expanding role of planning and zoning in supporting economic development and municipal operations. The contractor registration fee from '24 to '25 went from $15,300 to $35,850, a net change of $20,550. In '25, the CRA saw abatements totaling $6 million and a decrease of which was a decrease of $1,607,000, or a 21.1% from the prior year. And what they're crediting that to is that a lot of the older CRAs are starting to fall off now because they've been through the 15 years, and that we haven't seen a lot of uptake in new ones. So, fire department. The fire department responded to 2,301 incidents in '25. That was a 2.2% decrease from '24. While the total call volume declined slightly, EMS demands remained steady. Fire incidents dropped significantly and transport activity increased. Operational impacts for 2025 include staffing changes, statewide code transitions, and training system updates. These directly affected inspection tools, training hours, and reported revenue. These factors are explained in this report with our statistics below. So the incidents for this year, like we said, were only down 2.2%. But when you look at the incident breakdowns, Fires in '24 were 67 and only 39 in '25. Structural fires, 33 in '24 and 26 in '25. EMS calls were 1,567 in '24, and they're 1,572 in '25. Motor vehicle accidents went from 62 in '24 to 58 in '25. Hazardous conditions went from 135 to 150 in '25. Service calls, right about the same. Good intent calls, 93 in '24 and 71 in '25. False alarms, 130 in '24 and 126 in '25. Severe weather complaints, 1 in '24 and 2 in '25. EMS responses continue to represent 70% of all incidents, reinforcing the department's critical medical role. Response and operations. The average response time in '24 was 4.22 minutes. In '25, it was 4.53 minutes. They did 240 inspections in 2025. They had 1,741 training hours. They had 16 classes or tours, which included 506 people. Transport and billing. In '25, they had 129 basic life support transports with 52 advanced life support transports for a total of 181, and the billing revenue was $66,511.45. Although transport volume decreased by 60%, reported billing revenues declined also. This is due to delayed insurance reimbursement, increased by 60%, with reported billing revenue declined. This is due to delayed insurance reimbursements, which take months to process. The Salem Fire uses soft billing, meaning only insurance providers are billed, and many 225 claims are still pending and will appear in future revenue. Mutual aid. Fires, 15 mutual aid given and 3 received. And this continues to be a regional response, they continue to be a regional response provider, providing more aid than received. Grants and fees, this year they got $21,717.74 in grants and fees. Fire inspections, they inspected Kaiser, they declined due to the inspector Kaiser leaving in April. Another inspector was out for surgery, and they had a delay in enrolling Inspector Barnhouse because of the fire code rollout and no approved classes available. Training hours declined. Most firefighters are now achieving required certifications earlier. Fewer members need off-duty certification classes. The mandatory in-service and continuing education remains ongoing. This reflects a more credentialed workforce, not a reduced training standard. They went down about 200 hours from the year before, but it's because they did it in advance. Conclusion, the fire department remains high-performing, community-focused emergency service. Streets department. The streets department cut down 13 trees and removed the stumps. They removed concrete and guardrail along the south end of Lincoln Plaza for electric pole relocation. They did crack sealing on State Street east of the downtown area to Cunningham Road to help stop the deterioration. They repaired 300 feet of guardrail along Pennsylvania Avenue. They responded to 71 calls from City Hall and the police department. They installed 620 feet of 12-inch pipe and 6 new catch basins. They applied 60 ton of hot mix blacktop and 28 tons of cold patch blacktop. Their yearly tasks that they did were mowing, tree trimming, cleaning ditches, trash pickup along the roadways and on vacant properties, several cleanups in the downtown area. They have approximately 900 tons of salt currently. They repaired 80 feet of concrete curbing, various locations in the city. They reconstructed and poured 6 catch basin tops along North Ellsworth and East Sixth Street. They sold $17,000 worth of grindings, and they had approximately 3 miles of streets paved in 2025, including Summit Street, Bentley Drive, Roosevelt Avenue, North Cunningham Road, Lincoln Avenue north of State to the city limits, State Street East, East 4th Street, East 5th Street, East 6th Street, Brooklyn Avenue to the dead end. Electrical. They installed, electrical installed 12 plugs and timers at the Lincoln Park for Christmas lights. They moved electric service and Ohio Edison poles. They painted all the white crossroads, stop bars, parking spaces, and arrows, some of them twice. They worked on changing over the traffic lights to the new system and changing out the traffic light equipment. They installed new VFD drive motor starter and water plant pump house. They installed 5 fans at the water wastewater distribution area. They began going over new equipment at the wastewater plant. Other daily tasks like repair of equipment for water, wastewater distribution repair, maintenance of traffic lights, repair of equipment at the water and wastewater plants, and repair of equipment at the shop, painting machinery, mowers, and so on were completed. We had to redo almost every traffic light on the state routes because the communication radios that were on them were so old that you couldn't even get parts and they wouldn't communicate with each other anymore. That was a big project. So you should start seeing a lot more ease of going through city without a lot of disconnected stops. PD. The Salem PD participated in 14 community policing events where they engaged in approximately 3,800 people. These included health fairs, canine demonstrations, and educational topics related to safety. The dispatch received 10,457 calls in '25. The highest call month was October with 978. 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. was the busiest shift of the 3 8-hour shifts, and 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. was the busiest of the 12-hour shifts. Most of the calls came through the phone lines. That was 4,792 of them, and then radio followed by the 911 were the areas they came in most often. Patrol activity was busiest in October as well with 607 reports of the 6,198 reports total. The day shift was the busiest 12-hour shift. From 4 to 12 was the busiest of the 8-hour shift. 980 charges were filed in 763 incidents, with 381 resulting in arrest. 47 OVI citations were given, with 30 of those custodial, which means they went to jail. The patrolman issued 1,059 warnings and 10 parking tickets. Custodial arrests, okay. Custodial arrests totaled 382, which was down from 445 in '24. 181 adult males, 18 juvenile males, 70 adult females, and 9 juvenile females were arrested and sent to jail. 104 not identified due to joint agency arrests. There were 3 reported abductions, 28 missing persons, 357 alarm calls, 162 animal complaints, 381 crashes with no injury, 41 with injury, 58 criminal damaging, 76 fights and assaults, 152 domestic disputes, 179 incidents with no threats or violence with domestic disputes, 69 menacing, no shootings, no homicides, no stabbings. That's the good news. 98 fire-related calls, 110 fraud or identity theft calls, 21 solicitors, 38 OVIs, 3 underage consumptions, 10 narcotics, which is down from 18 and 24, 194 delinquent juveniles, 17 endangered children, 309 lockouts, 307 mutual aids, 253 public assists, 7 suicides or attempted suicides, 13 natural deaths, 1,387 medical calls, 74 civil incidents, 550 well-being checks, 77 harassments, 155 noise complaints, 9 calls for a person with a gun or a knife, 146 warrant checks, 90 persons at risk, no transients, down from 1 last year, 621 suspicious incidents, 183 thefts, 226 lost properties, 2 robberies, which was up from 1 in 24, 197 trespasses, and 1,724 traffic offenses. When they assisted other agencies with an arrest, those agencies were Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking with 58 of them, Ohio State Highway Patrol 10, Perry Township 20, Columbiana County Sheriff's Arrests 1, Goshen Township 8, Youngstown PD 1, U.S. Marshals 1, Lisbon PD 1, the Columbiana County Drug Task Force 1, and Homeland Security 1. So the total of aid that they gave others were 104. Oh, and FBI 1. The IT department started late in the year, but they did do a lot of work. Windows 11 security updates and network inventory was done, reviewed software and licensure for Microsoft 365, remote access records and document management, PDF editing, training for Paylocity and cybersecurity, video casting solutions for desktops to smart TVs, eGov option research, because that's a failing program. Analyzed options for billing with the auditor for departments, reviewed user accounts, implemented printer options and monitoring, audio-video portable system procured and implemented, working on 14 core level IT policies and designing framework, work with all entities for emergency planning, overall configuration of systems with basic improvements, door controls for city building to ensure security and user identification, employee badging, network, extensive primary function upgrades, primary servers 4 years old with a planned life of 6 years. The estimated cost to replace that in the next 2 years is $25,000 to $30,000. They replaced 4 workstations and 4 more were approved to be replaced soon. Configured 2 new mobile data stations and addressed numerous issues with phones. Almost done. Safety and Service Department. $1,100,000 in grants were done for managed annual street. Were used for managed annual street paving project. We paved over $2,200,000 worth of streets. $850,000 from ODOT fully funded grant for paving sections of State Street and North Lincoln Avenue. There was $486,402 in federal funded grants for traffic signal software upgrades for State Street. $438,943 awarded through Omega for regional planning transportation grant that goes toward the next phase of the downtown project. $300,000 for the Lincoln Plaza substantial completion phase 2 ODNR funded project. That was through that grant that we got. $112,800 for CDBG grant funding for paving portions of East, 4th, 5th, and 6th Streets. $43,089 from a community grant for gas aggregation supplier. $12,000 the first full year of renegotiated City Hall cell tower contracts revenues were brought in, which was an 83% increase. And those were all things that were done by the service director, grants that were applied for and received, or contracts that were renegotiated for a profit. We completed the purchase of the Red Barn for Lincoln Plaza. We had a successful renewal of the 0.25% income tax levy in May for the street paving, alleys, and sidewalks. Installed decorative tree lighting along the municipal parking lot of Pershing Street. The Salem Super Cruise had another successful event. Adopt a Street program has 6 organizations cleaning up litter on city streets. They remodeled and upgraded planning and zoning director's office, new carpeting for City Hall, and the second floor conference room. Purchased 3 additional security and traffic cameras for the police department. So in the mayor's office, in addition to those things, we're filled with routine day-to-day meetings in the city and some as far away as Columbus and Chillicothe. I attended monthly meetings for the county mayors, Omega, FCC, Salem Recovery Center Board, Salem Area Health Department Board, county crisis response meetings, county extension service meetings, Port Authority meetings, Park Department meetings, Utility Department meetings, Mayor's Partnership for Progress meetings, One Ohio Board for District 11, bi-monthly meetings for City Council and its committees, quarterly meetings for Land Bank, County EMS, 911, County Housing Authority, SOD Center executive meetings, weekly rotation meetings, an annual Kiwanis meeting. I also represent the city for new business openings, meet monthly with Julie Needs to review economic development and elevate solutions. I've been meeting with the Salem City Schools to evaluate their project in the utility department role, meeting with Shepherd of the Valley, which has been a large project that's underway and took a great deal of energy last year. But it's making progress. If you've been out past, they have condos almost up and ready to go. They're estimating May for a move-in date. Annexation meetings and research were another big subject for 2025. Fundraising and grant writing was high on the list this year, with Salem receiving an estimated $400,000 grant from the state for the creation of the One Ohio Salem Resource Referral Center. We reapplied in January for the second round of funding for this project, which would cover the next 24 months. This past year, the center took 8 homeless people without shelter off the streets of Salem and assisted 32 with safe housing. We made 500 contacts and enrolled 72 people to date. These 72 people have accepted education, job training, job placement, court and legal referrals and assistance, driver's license reinstatement, transportation, referrals for counseling and behavior management. 49 were primarily SUD and 13 were mental health. This goes a long way in the reduction in SUD-related arrests and OD and medical calls. We're researching in preparation for union contract negotiations in the next month or two with all 4 of the unions. We brought Jonathan Downs and his agency aboard with your approval to assist with legal consults and human resources services, which are more and more important every year. We opened negotiations for the Omni Fiber to bring fiber optics to Salem. This was quite the process with the PUCO involved. I'm assisting a couple of residential developers right now with getting their projects initiated, as well as one large commercial developer. Salem is seeing a lot of growth in the area of new business, while at the same time we lost a couple of established businesses. Revitalization in the downtown on the east end seemed to be picking up speed. Council considered 77 ordinances and resolutions in 2025, with 75 of them passing. And that's not all of it, but everything I'm going to be able to tell you.
Thank you, Mayor Dickey, for that comprehensive overview. Next year, I'll be sure to bring my cheers and jeers buttons like Congress does during the State of the Union. So thank you for that. Moving on to our only other city official who entertained being here tonight, Mr. Zellers.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor. A lot going on in the city. My report's only slightly longer than hers, so I'm kidding. I always say that for the new people. I have no report, but
Mr.
I'd be happy to
President.
answer any questions.
If
Yes.
I follow up to Mayor.
Yes. I ignored a question on the floor from Ms. Bear to Ms. Dickey. Yes.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much for updating us by reading that report. Last year, I had presented to council and to you a report that was created by the city of Medina. They do it in a digital format. It is consistent across department, and I would ask you to reconsider that format also, so that we could have consistency among reports from departments, and something that we as city council can review annually from year to year to make a direct comparison between our departments, and also to give you your voice back, your time back, and a consistent report that can be shared with civic organizations, the SOD Center, your mayor's groups that you meet with, and anyone else that might need that report. So I make that request. And we also have a new IT department, which might be able to help you with the preparation of that.
Can we do it in this format, since the statute says it has to be delivered annually?
I think
Does this count?
other cities are doing it, and I guess the delivery is prepare it in that format and disseminate it to council.
Yep.
And then you make your announcement that it's prepared and it's ready. And I think those communities, at least the ones that I looked at, did a very small synopsis of it
Exactly.
in the open meeting and then.
Highlights.
And I
Yeah.
did read this, and I read another one that another city did that's beautiful too. It was in Florida.
And that might give us
It
more
would be
time as,
so
as
nice.
chairman, yeah. As chairman of various committees, we could work on our strategic plans in correlation with that report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point. Thank
Do
you.
you need this back?
Nope, it's yours.
Sorry for missing your hand there. Any other questions for the mayor or the law director? Hearing none, I will move on to report of committees. Finance Committee, Mr. Harrington.
Nothing to report.
Public Services Committee, Mr. Tice.
Only that we're gonna have a meeting, for the next council meeting at 6:30.
Okay, so just to confirm, I don't have the calendar up, sorry.
That's the subject.
The subject of the meeting.
Hopefully, see if there's any progress on, maybe getting a grant with for the basketball courts with the parks. That would be the main part of it. And then there was a citizen that wants to rename a street, and they might come make a presentation. Or a section of the street.
So, that'll be March 3rd at 6 PM, just double checking.
6:30.
6:30, got it, okay. So Public Services will meet March 3rd at 6:30 PM, two agenda items that were just announced. Those are basketball courts and potential street renaming conversation. Moving on to Residential Committee, Mr. Zellers, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Thank you. Downtown Committee, Ms. Bricker.
Thank you, Mr. President. My committee did meet on February 3rd at 6 PM, and I'd like to read those minutes into record. The committee met in attendance with Sarah Bear, Jim Harrington, Trent Tice, Mike Weir, Jeff Stockman, Ron Zellers, Joe Capizzello, Will Klein, the president of Salem Partnership, and myself. The purpose of the meeting was to review and discuss procedures for snow removal in the downtown area due to the severe weather and concerns raised by downtown businesses and property owners. Joe Capizzello provided detailed overview of the snow removal response during the recent snow. Mr. Capizzello explained that the advance notice was provided through TextMyGov, Facebook, news stations, and the newspaper. A no parking ban was announced Friday afternoon, effective Saturday at 4 PM, to prepare for the expected snow overnight. Police enforcement began towing vehicles around 1 AM Sunday and resulted in approximately 80 cars being towed. Despite complaints on Facebook, he personally did not receive any direct phone calls. The streets department crews were called out overnight and worked in tandem using large and small trucks. Snow priorities followed standard procedures. Main roads such as State Street, Ellsworth, North Lincoln, Highland, North Union, and Southeast Boulevard, followed by secondary roads. Alleys are treated last when time permits. A plan was implemented to clear downtown streets overnight beginning early Tuesday morning to minimize disruption. Streets were blocked at Lincoln and Ellsworth to allow safe removal. Over an 8-hour period, crews removed 60 truckloads of snow from downtown. Additional removal was completed on Broadway with another 30 truckloads of snow removed. Approximately 750 tons of snow was removed before Lundy and Penn were cleared. Mr. Capizzello praised the dedication and attitude of the Streets Department employees. The Traffic and Safety Department and Parks Department employees also helped with clearing downtown. Mr. Capizzello also reminded everyone that when the temperature is so cold, the salt does not work. The committee also commended the Streets Department. The committee discussed providing more frequent updates throughout TextMyGov regarding street closures and snow removal. Will Klein, president of the Downtown Salem Partnership, proposed a possible public-private partnership for consistent downtown walkway maintenance. He estimated the cost with a private contractor of approximately $32,000 per year for snow removal and materials. With vacant properties and absentee owners, fees that are not paid could be assessed to property tax bills. The contract with private contractor would be expanded to include leaf removal, trash management, and planter upkeep for a year-round maintenance program. Businesses come and go, so these fees would fall on the building owner, not the business. The committee appreciated Mr. Klein coming to the meeting and prepared with a possible plan but decided more information would be needed. Conversations will continue at a future meeting regarding downtown snow removal. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Bricker. Rules and ordinances, Mr. Stockman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do not have a report this evening.
Thank you. Safety Committee, excuse me, Mr. Weir.
Mr. President, nothing to report.
Thank you. Economic Development, Ms. Bear.
Mr. President, my committee has not met, and therefore I have no formal report.
Thank you. And Committee of the Whole, Ms. Bear.
My committee has not met, and I have no formal report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have no introduction of ordinances and resolutions this evening, so I will move into pleasure of council, starting with Mr. Weir tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Zellers, thank you for this orientation on behalf of all of us, and I'm sure they'll mention that too. It's very informative. It's a lot to go through in an hour, and I'm sure we'll learn as we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tice.
Mr. President, nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
I appreciated the orientation, useful information. I also appreciated the mayor's state of the city, very detailed and informative.
Thank you. Ms. Bear?
Thank you very much for the time in preparing for this evening's orientation. It's always helpful to get a spruce up on changes and responsibilities. It's good to know that the city is in good shape, and thank you for the report.
Thank you. Mr. Zellers?
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing.
Ms. Bricker?
Thank you, I have nothing.
Mr. Stockman?
I also have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time.
Every year,
I do like the idea of a standardized people, you obviously have departments that work, but